All right, so hey guys, we're here with a Ruby mastermind with our company, and every now and again I reach out my olive branch and ask for a favor or ask for some help from people that have helped me. And today I'm with my good friend Eric Worre, and Eric, you all know who he is. If there's anybody that's taught me the most inside of network marketing, it's been Eric. If there's anybody that I'm most proud of inside of network marketing, it's been Eric. And I'm grateful for all that we've been able to do. And, it's been difficult over the last couple of years to spend a lot of time together. He's doing his thing, I'm doing mine, and you guys are doing yours. And, Eric has done an amazing job with Network Marketing Pro. He has the biggest following of anyone inside of network marketing. He's speaking all over the world. He's improved and helped people immensely, and has dug into deeper levels and helping people overcome fears and challenges and becoming network marketing professionals. His book has done incredibly well. Eric, your book is one of our staples. In fact, on our, we call it kind of our personal development link, we've got a few. Number one is Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Number two is your book and audio program, GoPro. Number three is Holton Bugg's CD set called The Cash Cow. And then number four is a tool that I love that can help you grow and strengthen your network with other people. And those are kind of the staples that we use that we're studying more than just reading, that we're studying and applying. So, Eric, thank you very much for spending some time today with these guys. And we're here at my house in Shediac River. I would love it if you could take a few minutes and tell your story. And you have an amazing story of many, many years, and you could talk for hours about your story. But if you could tell everybody a little bit about your story when it comes to getting involved with network marketing. But what I'm really would hope that you could share is, when during your career did you really become a leader? Was it after year 1, year 3, year 10? And what did you do differently to lead in a large organization? And you've built businesses all over the world with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of distributors. I'd love it if you could share, because many of us are on our journey and we're wanting to lead and we're doing things to lead. But what happened for you? What was the switch? And what did you do differently when you really truly became a leader inside of network marketing?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's fun to say hi to everybody. And Ivan is one of my dear, dear friends, one of my best friends in the world, and super proud of what he's doing, his family's doing, and what you're doing. And I know it's just the beginning of, just a fraction of what it's going to be, tiny fraction of what it's going to be. So I congratulate you for being involved with a great company, being involved with great leadership, positioning yourself to win. Getting yourself and really treating it serious. One of the things I like most about your culture is people they're not messing around. Yes, they might do it around lifestyle. Yes, they might find a way to do it and have a balanced life. But they're serious. They want more for their families. They want to help more people. They want to set a new standard. Like Holton says, they want to make the uncommon common. The remarkable to be normal. Take these incomes and growth and everything else and create a new benchmark for people. I remember, gosh, it's probably 10 years ago in the profession that the holy grail was $10,000 a month. That was the holy grail. 6 figures a year was the holy grail in network marketing. And I've watched it evolve, and it's evolving in a good direction because maybe we're more connected, we hear more stories, I don't know, but now it's $1 million a year. That's kind of the standard. I probably have friends that, I think there's maybe 500 in the world that make $1 million a year, something like that. Big number. And I'm friends with, I don't know, close with a couple hundred of them, and acquaintances with maybe another 100, 150. And there's a bunch that are kind of retired in legacy spots from huge billion-dollar companies. But you start hearing about $1 million a year, $1 million a year, $1 million a year, $1 million a year. How many are inside your company at $1 million a year? A lot inside your company at $1 million a year. So, and then some people come along, friends of mine, friends of yours, that all of a sudden says, well, what if we go a quantum leap? What if we go to $1 million a month? What would that look like? And I've always thought about $1 million a month in the profession, and when you do the math inside of any situation, well, you can get there when you do the math, but there's a difference between doing the math and doing the, creating the culture in order to be able to make that happen. And to see you guys setting that bar, it's really fun for me. Because who knows, 5, 10 years down the road, maybe there's 3, 4, 500 people at that level instead of at $1 million a year. Wouldn't that be something? So anyway, that said, I'm proud of what you're doing, and I'll give you a little bit about my story. I've been involved in the profession since 1988. I got involved with a company called NSA, which is water filters and air filters, and they were booming at the time. They've since become Juice Plus. They're a nutrition company. They're doing very, very well. Have a huge company, but they were a rocket ship back in 1988. I got involved. 22 years old, no background, no experience, obviously, no college, 18 jobs before I started, all the traditional things that you hear. And I struggled for my first 3 years. I went full-time right away because in that company it was a big package, and you could make money based upon bringing one person in. You could make up to $2,400 in a month from bringing one person in. So it was kind of, I didn't have a lot of duplication, but I had enough direct selling in order to be able to have an income. And I worked really hard. I remember looking around in my first 3 years and just saying, well, nobody's working harder than me. Nobody. I'm working hard, really hard. And I'm consistent, and I'm hitting it, and I'm doing all that stuff. But I never had duplication. All these other people would tell me these stories about, all you got to do is recruit 5, and they recruit 5, and they recruit 5, and pretty soon you have thousands of people and people you've never met. That really sounded great, but I never experienced it. I never knew somebody in my group. I never had somebody in my group that I didn't know personally. I never had duplication, with this runaway leg or something that would take off. And I was frustrated. I rebuilt my organization 7 times in my first 3 years. And when I wrote the book, I kind of reconstructed everything that happened in my brain. That was the big turning point for me. And it was kind of a realization through reading it that got me there. But I don't know. You guys are successful people, so I don't know if you can relate to this, and maybe you can, because there's such high levels of success inside of your business. It can sometimes intimidate you. I know it intimidated me, these big income earners and all that stuff. Remember when you went to your first convention and it was so inspiring? You're just like, oh my gosh, people are walking across the stage and they're getting their flowers and their pins and their big oversized checks and high fives, and they're getting their plaques and their trophies, and it was so inspiring because you say, "Oh, I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna get that stuff." And then you go to the next one, and you're still quite, you still watch the parade of people, but you still haven't earned your way up. And then you go to the next one, and you go to the next one, you go to the next one, and you go to the next one. I went through 3 years of it, and I still wasn't on the stage, and I started to do this, it's like, when is this going to be over? Train me. I don't need to see the parade of tears one more time. And I'll tell you that the event, we did events 3 times a year back then. The event before I had my big breakthrough, one of my mentors, his name was Michael Nelson. He lived in Minneapolis, and Michael taught me a lot early on, and he was one of the leaders, and I was working really hard to get to this particular rank because their company's going to do something inside of the organization at this convention, and I didn't make it. So I was outside of the room, and I purposely sat outside of the room to watch and watched them all file into this special room. and they close the door, and I'm on the outside, and I'm not in there. And this was an event where the company instituted profit sharing for the first time. And a marching band lines up outside of the room, full marching band. And the doors bust open, balloons and noise, and the marching band marches in, and they pass out $1 million to this group. $1 million. And I'm not in the room. And I was this close. And I went to a dinner that night with Michael Nelson. He's holding court, with all the people. They're passing the check around. And I remember just that not being an inspiring thing for me. It was depressing for me. I started, well, maybe there's something wrong with me, that I can't get to vacation, I can't have this income. Maybe I'm not meant for this. I might not be meant for it. So anyway, I'm looking for kind of a reason to get out of there because I've self-doubt beyond belief. And I went to the next event, and I'm sitting there watching CNN the night before, and they have this obscure expert on some strange topic. And I remember thinking, how does somebody become an expert at that topic? It doesn't even make sense to me how somebody can do that. And I said, well, they probably study, they probably read everything, they probably do everything you need to do in order to be able to be an expert at that topic. So, all right, well, nothing happens that night. So the next day, I'm in the event, and I'm watching the people go across the stage, and I finally say, and it was like getting hit by lightning, I said, well, wait a minute. Maybe I could become an expert. If I just work on the skills, and I let go of getting lucky, I let go of timing and positioning and having the right upline and all that stuff, and I just focus on the skills. I focus on becoming an expert. If I just do that, then everything should be okay. And literally my dominant emotion up to that point was fear. I was afraid I was going to get left behind. I was afraid I wasn't right for this. I was afraid I was in the wrong group and I didn't have the right upline. I was afraid I wasn't getting the right training. I was afraid of all kinds of stuff. But once I made the decision to become a professional, once I really made a decision to go pro, then my fear went away, just like that. So, long answer to your basic question, when did I become a leader? In that moment, I became a leader. Once I decided that I was going to go pro, and I said goodbye to my upline emotionally. Love them, use them as a resource, but not need them anymore. I wasn't going to blame anybody. I was going to take full responsibility. I was going to learn the skills, not only in my head, but in practice. And as soon as I made that decision, I started to lead. Because people around me could see that I'd made a defining decision, and I was more serious now, and I wasn't scrambling around looking for, the next shiny penny. I was really focused on becoming a pro. And when that happened, things got pretty easy. Until that happened, it was really, really hard. And so I tell people all the time, the biggest thing you got to do, and most people at this event right now, you think you have, but you haven't really made a decision. There's something that could happen that could knock you out. There's something that could hurt your brain and send you to the sidelines. You lose that one top person, or your upline hurts your feelings, or something could happen and knock you out. And once you get to the point where you really make a decision, and that can't happen anymore, then the world attracts to you. Then things get a lot easier. So long answer, Ivan, to a pretty basic question.
So would you agree that once the decision is made, you're really going after it, that openings happen for you that you wouldn't have normally had?
All kinds of things. People look at you different. Once you've made a decision, they know that just that decision alone gives them confidence, because they can see that you're serious. So where before they're like, I'm not so sure, then they go, okay, Ivan's serious now, I can tell. So I'm gonna jump in. You know what I mean? So the decision really is the big deal. Until you make a decision, network marketing is really hard. There's struggle and drama everywhere. And, well, once you make a decision, all that other stuff tends to fall away. You work hard, to get where you need to go, but you're not filled with drama all the time.
Awesome. Now, I wasn't going to take this further, but I want to take it one step further.
Yeah, no problem.
There's people that I know of in our organization that think they've made a decision. Mm-hmm. They're working hard. They really think they've made that decision.
Yep.
And maybe they're not as coachable as they need to be, or maybe, what do you say to those people that think they've made a decision and it's not working the way that they'd hoped?
Well, the biggest thing is, if there's any blame in their DNA, in other words, if they can get knocked to the sideline because their upline didn't support them, or they didn't go in to do this thing, or somebody left the group, or the company made this change, or this product isn't available in this place yet, or whatever it happens to be. If there's any blame in their DNA, they haven't really made a decision, because it's always about some external thing that is the reason why they're not where they want to be. Once you made a decision, the blame game goes away. It really does. So that's one of the biggest things, I think, is getting to a point where you're so solid, you're so unmovable, you're so unshakable that you're going all the way to the top and you have a relaxed intensity about it's going to happen. You'll know. And there is a thing, I will tell you, in our profession, because our profession is very forgiving, more forgiving than what I would call the open market outside of network marketing. Outside of network marketing, if you don't perform for a month or 2 months or 3 months, you're going to get yourself run out of that company. You're going to get fired. But here in network marketing, it's so forgiving that people can fall into what I call a success coma. They're making money. They're going through the motions, but they're kind of like a zombie. They're going through the motions. They're showing up. They're saying the right things, but they're not engaged, really, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. They're just going through the motions. They're just saying the words, showing up, smiling, shaking hands, kissing babies, and they're in a success coma, and they don't even realize it until they break out of it. And they go, oh my gosh, what was I doing the last 4 years? What was I doing the last 18 months? How was I just laying there? Because when they really go to work, when they really go into their purpose inside of our profession, they realize that the profession was rewarding them for almost no activity. There's some people in the room right now, and I don't know, I'm not there, and I don't know you, and I don't know the story, but there's some people in the room right now that you really haven't done much of anything in the last 12 months. There's some. I don't know who you are, but there's some that have just shown up, and that's it. And they've gotten a check because of something they did 2 years ago. And they've been in a success coma for the last 12 months. They didn't even realize it. Happens all the time. And there's people in success comas at $250 a year and $500,000 a year and $1 million a year. Tons of them. So what was fun is, like, last year at our GoPro Recruiting Mastery, we had Holton speak, and there was a lot of $1 million earners in the room, probably 100 of them in the room, that went, oh my gosh, I've been in a success coma. I've just been going through the motions. Lots of them talked to me about that afterwards, because Holton rattled their cage a little bit and let them see that there was a higher picture, right? So anyway, that happens for everybody. I've gone through it many times. Ivan's gone through it several times in his career. So it's not, you're not a bad person for going through it. Network marketing rewards you sometimes for that. But anyway, I don't know if that helps or not.
No, it does. Thank you, Eric. And if there's anybody that knows me and the challenges or the growth that I've gone through in network marketing, has been you. You've seen me from really green to improve a bit more, to improve a bit more, to go backwards, to move forward, to all those different things, and on deep levels.
Yep.
So the next thing I want to talk about, Eric, there's three things today. This is the second one, and you do 3-day workshops on this. You do 1-week workshops on this, and there's no way that we're going to be able to help somebody overcome their fear on a few-minute talk. But maybe you could give us a little insight on how important is it to overcome our fears that continue to hold us back. Um, how big of a factor is fear for people in network marketing? But what are some things that we could do to break through some barrier or some fear to get to another level?
I think we're in the fear management business, really, because people come in, they're scared. We're insecure. We don't have maybe as good a self-image as we have, and that's all fear-based. It's all about managing this and getting ourselves to act. You know why we hear so many rags to riches stories in network marketing is because they got no place else to go. You know what I mean? Sometimes when they don't have anything to lose, they don't have a fear of loss, they're already at the bottom, then they'll go to the top because they don't have that fear to hold them back. You know what I mean? So it's not like, they've lost everything or whatever. You hear this person, I was in a trailer park on the end of a dirt road and, all that stuff. The reason is what did they have to lose? They already lost it. So now to rebuild and use network marketing to do it, sometimes that fear thing is eliminated, so they can take action. Where somebody's a big shot in some big corporation, they could lose their social esteem. They could have the neighbors talking about them. The people at the country club might be say something weird. They could get demoted at their job. All kinds of things could happen from perceptions, public perceptions out in the marketplace. So sometimes they won't face that fear. They'll walk away. So I found that three things have helped when it comes to allowing people to or empowering people to overcome their fears, everybody in the room included. One is a solid understanding of what we have, the opportunity that we have in network marketing. The more you understand what we have, the more you understand the value of what it is that we have for ourselves but can offer to other people. The magic of network marketing. The more you understand that, the more you'll face your fears. That's number one. Number two is all about the skills. If you have the skills, you're not afraid anymore. And it's the skills, baby. I'm telling you, more than anything else. There's people in network marketing. Some people would tell you, well, it's your future is based upon your relationships and your reputation and your skills. Not in network marketing. There's people who destroyed all of their relationships because they made stupid mistakes in network marketing. They destroyed their reputation because they made stupid mistakes in network marketing, but they had the skills. And they can rebuild with just the skills. And you can then repair your reputation. Then you can, build more relationships, and you can do all that stuff. The skills are the thing. So you think about it. Anything that you have the skills to do, are you afraid? If you really have the skills, you're not afraid anymore. Anything that you've mastered in your life, you got the skills. Your fear goes away, or it's reduced very, very small. So understanding and skills, those are the two big things. And then the big one is, I think this is going to sound foo-foo, but I believe it. Solid as I believe anything, is getting solid as to your purpose as to why you're here on this planet. For a long time, I was always reaching out to get the approval and validation from some people. I was performing for those people. I wanted them to like me. I wanted them to approve of me and pat me on the back and be proud of me. And I was a performer, so I was always performing for this group that was basically, if you can imagine a group of people turned around and looking the other way. And I'm reaching to them, to their back, and I'm trying to get their attention. I'm dancing around and I'm making noise, trying to get their attention so they would turn around and they would look at me, right? So that drove me for a long time. And what I realized is while I was doing that, I had my back to a huge group of people that were looking for my attention. And if I would just turn around and focus on the people who are naturally attracted to me and serve them instead of the people who weren't naturally attracted to me. I let them just be and love them and let them move forward. And my purpose has become a driver because I want to serve the community I have right now, even if that's 2 people, whatever it is. The people that are reaching out, the people that are looking for answers, the people, some people asked me this last weekend what I did. I went to the DSA convention, which was an interesting experience, right? All these corporate people. And a lot of people don't know who I am, and that's fine inside of that world. They said, well, what do you do? I said, well, really? I'm a professional encourager. That's what I do. I encourage people. I push them sometimes. Sometimes it's with aggressive encouragement. Sometimes it's with soft encouragement. Sometimes I kick them in the ass. Whatever. But people aren't going to wonder whether I give a shit or not, because I really do. I give a shit about them. I care about them. If they're network marketing, I'm their fan. I'm proud of them for facing their fears. I'm proud of them for doing what they need to do. That's my purpose is to teach and educate and encourage people in the network marketing profession. And I will tell you, if you get solid on your purpose, as far as liberating people, as far as empowering people, helping them face their fears, encouraging them to the greatness that's inside of them, then your fear becomes irrelevant. The fear really, when you understand the gift that you can give to your fellow man and fellow woman, the community that's searching for answers, and you have the gift, you're just a little farther down the road, and you can help them down that piece of road. Then fear becomes what's fear about? It's just ego now. It doesn't mean anything. So those are the 3 things I think: understanding number 1, skills number 2, and really locking in into your purpose, why you're here. And I think why most of us are here when I've been happiest in my life, which is where I am right now, is when I am investing myself and the best that I have into another human being, or into a community of people who really want something. So fear becomes really small in that space.
So Eric, that's awesome, and what you just shared, foo-foo, it's far from foo-foo, but this whole...
you know what I mean, it's...
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And understanding the purpose piece, and we know especially when we're new to network marketing and we start earning some money and we start having people on our team earning some money, and we have a lot of different personalities, lots of different egos. Some of us check in and decide we don't need to learn anymore. Some of us become great students, but when you really understand your purpose, and I know, and in my past life there were times where I got fired up about stuff and
Yep.
people inside of an organization, and this is not a question I had written down, but I think it'll help us transition to the next piece. What advice would you give people working with their team and people with different personalities? Because not everyone gets along, not everyone, but I think deep down, people join network marketing because they do want to improve their life and improve other people's lives. We just all do it a little bit differently sometimes based on our personality. But what advice would you give on managing? And I shouldn't even call it managing. Working with other leaders.
Again, if it's not about you, if it's about them, I think it's really important as a group to develop a culture, and you guys have done a great job of developing culture. That's the biggest job of a leader, in my opinion, is developing a culture. Here's how we act inside of this community. Here's how we respond to challenges. Here's how we encourage each other. Here's how we validate each other. Here's how we edify each other. Here's how we deal with a bad problem, that shows up, or distraction that shows up. How do we deal with that? So the culture is everything, and that's what strong leaders do, is they develop a culture. And the culture does most of the work when it comes to somebody that's outside of the culture. I'm sure that you've had people come into your company, and they just didn't fit because the culture was so strong, and they didn't fit inside that culture, so they found their way out. Nobody needed to say a word. Everybody knew that this person didn't really fit, and they just found their way out. And that's true inside of every culture, military, religious, corporate, whatever, country-specific, doesn't matter. So when it comes to working with different people, it's the same thing. Give a shit about everybody. Don't try to be the big, big shot that has to be the ruler over everybody. Just care. And if people really feel like you're sincerely looking out for their best interest and not just trying to be the boss, then they'll listen. And if you don't, they're not going to listen. So you can try and big foot people, and you can try and create these little campaigns, and you can try to manage people. If people feel managed, I'll tell you, they rebel against feeling managed pretty aggressively. But, and I will tell you one other thing. And I was reminded of this last weekend at the DSA. I had an old partner that was there. He was with his company. And you'll know who it was. But we'll keep names out of it. But a big, big part of his DNA is to have an enemy. He needs an enemy. Because that galvanizes his purpose. So the enemy is another comp plan that's different from his comp plan. The enemy is people in network marketing that do a particular thing. The enemy is all these different enemies everywhere. You had a 10-minute conversation, and there was 15 enemies identified in the 10 minutes. And that was a huge part of me, too. You become who you hang around. That became a huge part of me in the past. But I let go of that, though. Because what I found is when you use all of that fuel to be able to, and there's a point that I'm going to get to, use all of that fuel to drive you. I'm going to show them, and we're going to beat them, and we're going to kick their ass, and we're going to do all of that stuff. It can work. You can use that to face your fear and move forward. It can work, but you pay a price in lots of drama in your life, in every direction. Drama, conflict, angst, challenge, all the time. And if you find yourself always in drama, even with your people in your group, there might be something that you need to look at as far as your posture of how you're reacting to differences of opinion or differences in culture or differences in whatever. Because if it becomes about winning everyone to a particular point of view or whatever, it becomes about defining this enemy. And this particular group, and this leader is now the enemy. You know what I mean? And I put people in that category in the past because they were the enemy against this and that. There's all conflict, drama. Once I really just let go of that and decide I want to be everybody's friend, I'm going to care about them, and if there's some hard issues to be able to talk about, I'm going to talk about with compassion and love and their self-interest, and I'm going to do it in a way that doesn't publicly embarrass them, and I'm going to do it in a way that brings us closer together as friends, whether or not we end up agreeing on that particular topic. If I care, and they know I care, and we can talk through it, then we can get where we need to go. But what I just shared was some of my own personal transformation stuff, and it's the biggest difference in the world. When I shifted that and I stopped picking winners and losers, and I stopped defining the enemy, the enemy can be outside of our profession. That's fine. We could talk about the establishment and the man and all that stuff, and we want freedom in network marketing. But inside, there are times when all that's going to generate is drama. And, when there's ego and fear and bad programming involved, you're going to have drama in your organization. And if there's real solid communication and caring in the world and vision and purpose, you got to know where you want to go. And you got to be able to articulate, here's why it's in everybody's best interest that we do this particular thing this way. You got to be able to articulate that, but once you do, and you build a culture around it. If people don't see eye to eye with that, they'll find their way, into some other organization someplace, and you can stay friends while they do it. It doesn't have to be about high drama, winners and losers, scorched earth, all that stuff.
As you were sharing that, Eric, and we don't really have any of that stuff going on in our organization yet.
Yeah.
But I know it's coming. But
it always happens when if communication drops down, or people don't talk to each other as much, or they're not getting enough, or they have some previous insecurity from something that happened earlier in their life, and because of that, they're hypersensitive to recognition or whatever. Those types of things tend to show up. But again, the culture is everything. You build the culture, and you're good.
Well, hearing you talk about it, I know I've learned a lot of that from you, and it goes back to relationships. I used to be right, you had to be right, or had to be wrong. One person had to be right, one person had to be wrong. Yep. And as I don't know if I've gotten older, or if I learned, I know I've learned a good portion of this from you, from being around you over the years. I don't have to be right anymore. In fact, I don't care about being right anymore. And that has allowed Elaina and I to have a completely different level of a relationship.
Nice.
In our lives, and it transfers into the business the same way.
Yep.
So it's not about being right or wrong, it's about caring, and
yep.
Love that. Thank you.
Yep.
Last question, and we'll wrap up. I'm way over my time.
Okay.
What makes a great leader in a company? And what makes a great leader? What makes a great leader? What makes a great network marketing leader?
It's a big topic. There's a lot of things, but if I had to crystallize a few of them, is one, having a solid vision for what it is that, where the group's going to end up, where the group's going. There's a common, there's two parts to every great leader's story. Here's the two parts. Every great leader in the history of the world. One, there's a promised land. Two, we can get there together. That's it. Pick any leader in the world. That's their message. So that's what I mean by vision. So whether it's I have a dream, or it's, you pick the leader. That's their story. And it's different for, Steve Jobs said there's a promised land when it came to technology and connectivity with human beings, and we can get there together, and here's how we're going to do it. We've got these, products that are going to connect us in unbelievable ways, and have shocked the world as to how it's changed how we live. Any great leader, whether it's religious, spiritual, business, network marketing, there's a promised land, we can get there together. So having a strong vision, the ability to articulate that vision, and a game plan in order to make the vision possible. So those things are really, really big. So vision, the ability to communicate it, and a game plan to make it happen. And then it's about the culture that will support that initiative. What kind of a culture are you creating? Using all the tools available to you that will support that vision, that communication of that vision, and that game plan to make it happen. What kind of a culture, what does your group need to be known for in order to be able to make that happen? You got to think about those things. So that's what I think a great leader does. A great leader has a vision, they can articulate it, they can put together a game plan that actually works, and they build a culture around that whole thing. And the culture says, this is what we do, this is how we carry ourselves, this is how we look, this is how we appear to the world, this is how we sound. And that culture creates security so people don't have to reinvent anything. You guys have done an amazing job of that. You already know what a culture around this framework can do. But a lot of people come into network marketing and they feel that that's somebody else's job. They feel like, let the top earners be the ones to say, let them always be the ones to put the vision out there and put the, articulate it, and I'll just put people in front of them. And then they miss out on the biggest part of growth in their careers. One of the worst things that could happen to you, one of the best things that I think happened to a lot of people is what Holton and Shane and all these other guys have done. It's amazing, and it's great because it's built lots of confidence and lots of activity when maybe there wouldn't have been some. But I would also suggest to you that if you allow them to be your be-all, end-all, then you'll never be that leader that needs to be, that goes to the highest level of your potential. If you just put people in front of them and you don't be the one, that it might be the same vision, but you need to say it. You need to not just have people look at their video, but you need to say it to your team. You need to say it to your group. You need to say, here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. Here's our game plan, and here's our culture. And it doesn't need to be a different culture, but it just needs to come from you. That's when a new leader shows up. Other than that, you got good soldiers that plug into a system, and that's fine. But I know a new leader's showing up when they're the ones pretending like those others don't, they aren't there to be leveraged, and I'm not saying you have to change the story or change the vision. You don't. You can just articulate from your words to your group, and it doesn't need to be different for different groups. Just you doing it. You saying, guess what? Most leaders showed up in network marketing because they looked around and nobody else was there. Well, I guess there's nobody else in this market that's going to do it, so I guess I got to do it. That's when they, they just went. Imagine if you moved into Holton's house with him. Some people say, "Oh, that would be amazing," but in my opinion, you'd never ever step into the potential that you're meant to step into. Because you wouldn't have to face your fears. You wouldn't have to grow. You wouldn't have to get stronger. You wouldn't have to get better. You could just lean on him or any of the other leaders in your organization. You have many. You could just lean on them, and you never have to become the person you're supposed to become. So that's not saying that they're not amazing. They are. But if we're talking about leaders here to a room full of leaders, it's when you step up with a smile on your face and love in your heart, not to differentiate yourself from another group, but just to say, you know what, I'm going to start telling a story. And it's not just going to be about, let me show you a video of somebody else. I'm going to tell you a story. I have a vision for this market, for this city, for this region, for this country, for this area, and together we're going to make something happen. There is a promised land, and we can get there together. But I'm going to start saying it. Anyway, those. I could talk about leadership for 8 hours, and there's really, really good information on leadership because I see a lot from a lot of different companies and a lot of different leaders.
Wow. Eric, this is just too much fun.
Yeah, buddy.
And, thank you for taking the time to meet with a few of us today and sharing so much wisdom. You didn't dial it in. You gave it to us, and we appreciate it. So we're going to take this information back and use it, put it to good use. And
for those in the room, those leaders in the room, I hope you weren't too bored watching this on a screen for this period of time. But I'll tell you, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you for what you've done so far. I'm proud of you for what you're going to do. You have the ability to change a lot of lives, help a lot of people. Your paycheck really is a reflection of the number of people that you're helping in our profession. And thank you for being an ambassador for freedom, for giving people options that they didn't know that we had. And like I say all the time, network marketing isn't perfect, but it is better. We do have a better way. For a person that has an entrepreneurial bone in their body, this is a better way. So I appreciate all of you, and I hope to meet you in person or say hi in person sometime soon.
I know that will happen, Eric, and thank you again for your time. And hi to Marina. It'll give you a chance to get back to your family. We appreciate you so much, And thanks again for all you do.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you too.